The state parks in Wisconsin highlight unique geological features, historic significance, or cultural significance to the areas they reside. They also provide educational opportunities for people of all ages to learn about these unique features through self-guided tours or volunteer tours provided by the parks. Today, we are visiting 3 state parks: Copper Culture State Park in Oconto County, Lost Dauphin State Park in Brown County, and Heritage Hill State Park, also in Brown County. The major geological features of these parks are the Oconto and Fox Rivers that give these parks their vistas. The locations also hail historic value with a prehistoric cemetery, a long-lost French prince, and the history of the locals from the 1700s to the 1900s made tangible for park patrons. Welcome to the Wisconsin State Parks. This week, we have a collection of parks. Even if some are small in scale, the historical significance is large. First, we will travel north, past the other 2 parks, to Copper Culture State Park. History is the main attraction here. This site held the cemetery of the old Copper Complex people. These people lived on the western Great Lakes around 4000 through 2000 BC and were known for their extensive use of copper for weapons and tools, and being some of the earliest metalsmiths in the world. This cemetery was discovered, much on accident, by a young boy in 1952 who dug up human bones while playing in the area. The first archaeological dig then soon followed. This cemetery is one of 4 discovered in modern times. On the site, 22 burials were excavated, and as many as 200 burials may have been performed here, but most of the site was destroyed by mining operations in the 1920s. A similar story to Highcliffe. While I can piece some history together via the internet, I can't replace the people that normally would staff the museum on site. Again, due to COVID, the exhibits were closed. Hopefully, when things open back up, I can do appendix episodes to cover the small museums missing in these videos. Copper Culture State Park was designated a registered National Historic Landmark in 1962. Once again, I love being surprised by the recognition our state parks have been given on a national scale. Every time I learn of these important historical places so close to my own home, I get more eager to get back out and explore another park I haven't visited. The park also features 2 trails for hiking only. One trail showcases its open field and can be good for bird watching. The other trail takes you into the woods, past the former cemetery, and along the river. Neither trail is long, but the trail in the woods can be more difficult with steep portions and downed trees. But you'll be rewarded with a beautiful riverside. And if you're adventurous like me, you can say, whatever, and keep following the animal trails in the wilderness. Just make sure to check yourself for ticks after your hike. Driving back south, we will visit Lost Dauphin State Park next. And from here on out, I'm going to try my best to pronounce things correctly. Pronounce things kind of French. So technically this park would be called Lost Dauphin State Park, but no one around here is going to pronounce it that way. This park resides south of the city of De Pere on Lost Dauphin Road along the Fox River. Visitors will park in the small lot or along the road before ascending the hillside. If you don't want a steep ascent, there is a gravel road to the side with a nicer slope to the top. At first look, this appears to be a city or county park, and it's actually operated by the town of Lawrence. Now, apparently, the park has been demoted, even though it's still on state-owned land, and is listed as a state park on the Department of Natural Resources website. Apparently, it's just technically a municipal park, but we're covering it anyway because it's on the website. Visitors can sit on the hillside to enjoy the view, have a gathering in the pavilion, or make use of the swings if so inclined. At the back is a well-maintained trail loop into the woods. Visitors will not escape the sounds of cars on this walk though, as a suburban neighborhood lines the side of the park. It's a nice trail for those who live nearby though. If you're looking for a bit of history, you are in luck. This park marks the site where Eleazer Williams was hoping to set up an Indian empire in the West in 1822. In 1841, Williams was visited by a French prince. And if my internet sleuthing is correct, that would have been Francois d'Orléans. This visit fueled the rumors that Eleazer was the Lost Dauphin, son of Louis XVI. In the end, Williams did not create an Indian empire in the West. He was not the long-lost son of Louis XVI and died poor in New York State. His home, that once stood on this spot, was destroyed in a fire long ago, but the flagstone foundation remains in the ground. Not far from there, near Green Bay, is our last stop, Heritage Hill State Park. This state park is a growing collection of the history of Fort Howard and the surrounding area. Heritage Hill holds numerous historical markers compared to other state parks, as it should. It's the whole point of the park. While growing up in northeast Wisconsin, I visited this park many times on school trips, and it has slowly expanded over time. The park is home to 24 structures from the area's past, covering the 1700s to the 1900s. And if that wasn't enough, during non-pandemic times, the park is full of people recreating those time periods. Smithing, baking, farming, dancing, or performing military maneuvers, all in authentic clothing and waiting to answer your questions. Going clockwise around the park, the first area you will encounter is the Belgian farm and the ethnic agricultural area. Here, I was petitioned by the chickens to be let out of their pen for some free roam time. Sorry, ladies, that's over my pay grade. Next are the remains of Fort Howard, built during the War of 1812 and decommissioned in 1853. Now, there is just so much missing when you can't go inside the buildings, and there are no people to give historic details. All of the buildings were moved from their original site to be preserved here. The wood wall is new to me. I don't think they had that last time I was here. Passing under Riverside Drive is the La Bay section of the park, which covers the 1700s. This is where older buildings such as a recreation of a bark chapel, a fur trader's cabin, and a maple sugaring house reside. Heading back is the growing community area, which encompasses the 1800s to the 1900s. The featured building here is the Tank Cottage and Barn. Rounding out the circling of the park is the Moravian Church, dedicated in 1850, and the Cotton House, which honestly, I'm not sure if I've ever been in that building in all my visits. But maybe I was, I don't know. Also, at the top of the hill is a tomb of an unknown soldier from Camp Smith in 1820. Camp Smith was a temporary fortification on the east side of Fox River during a malaria outbreak at Fort Howard. You can get a good workout on a walk around Heritage Hill, as the slope can be just steep enough to get your heart rate elevated. During events, they do run a cart trolley to assist people across the park. But the exercise is worth it if you're able. Heritage Hill is full of things for young children. There are even things for older children, especially ones interested in history. And there are things for adults curious for how the area grew from the 1700s on. These three parks really highlight Northeast Wisconsin's varied history, from as far back as 4000 BC all the way up to the 20th century. There might not be long trails to hike, but there are wonderfully interesting things to learn. Take advantage of the opportunity to see copper culture, Lost Dauphin, and Heritage Hill State Park while you are getting out and traveling Wisconsin.